Izzy Busy here. Hola amigos. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. And I will start by saying I don't really have much of a plan for this video, what I'm going to talk about. I'd just like to give you a little update. I was interrupted on my last video, but now I can't remember what I was talking about, probably about my ex-husband and how he treated me. And this is a subject, unfortunately, that I'm still going to talk about for a little while. However, I also decided that I will need to stop doing that at one stage and just focus on myself, because I'm not going to improve my situation by ruminating and focusing on him, on what he was like, how he treated me, and how I felt abused and how I felt manipulated and how I felt really unhappy in that marriage. And the thing is, like this morning when I woke up, all of that was gone, and I just remembered the nice part of him and I started missing him. I was really upset, and I started crying. I was very upset for what I said. I'm probably making the biggest mistake of my life by leaving him and by by asking for a divorce and a settlement and all that. Maybe it's the biggest mistake of my life. Maybe I'm never going to find love again. And but then I thought, well, if I hadn't been so unhappy, I would still be with him now. I wouldn't be where I'm now. I wouldn't have left him. And also, if he had really loved me, he wouldn't have just let me go. When I told him that I wanted a divorce, he didn't even react. The only thing he said is, "Oh, you're not going to get my money." That's all he said. He didn't say, "Oh, please don't leave me. I love you. I need you. You're everything to me. I can't live without you. I want to grow old with you. If we have any problems, let's talk about it. We can improve our relationship." All that, no, nothing. He wasn't interested. All he said is, "You're not going to get my money." And then I walked out of the room, and he didn't call me back. He didn't come and see me later. I was sleeping in the spare room. He could have knocked on my door. He could have said, "Oh, Isabel, I'm really shocked by what you just told me, and let's talk about it. Let's find a solution. Let's do, relationship counseling. Let's do what we, let's find a solution to this. I'm really sad that you're not happy in the marriage, and I will do anything for you to in my power to improve that." No, nothing. He wasn't interested. So he is a very cold-hearted and a very how do you say that? Not a very empathetic person. He never cared about how I felt, and then he was shocked because I left him. But he didn't ask me to stay. That's what I don't understand. He didn't ask me to stay because maybe that would be lowering himself, and he would never be in the situation where he would beg me. It was always me begging for affection, me begging for us to spend more time together, me begging for a bit more money because I couldn't make ends meet and I didn't have money to even buy food or basic stuff. Me begging that we could maybe go somewhere on holidays, but that never happened anyway, except for on 2 occasions. But that wasn't a holiday, that was like family circumstances. So it was always me in the begging position, but he has never ever, he would rather us divorce than him ask me to stay, to beg me to stay, or say sorry. He can't say sorry. He could never say sorry. That was below his dignity and below his, capacity or whatever. He thought he was perfect in every way. So, if you're perfect, you don't have to say sorry. And I really look back and I feel like I was trapped in a very unhappy marriage. I felt neglected, unloved, unappreciated, and also his attitude towards me was always so, he was, you know, he would talk to me like I was a piece of shit. I don't want to say it loud because I don't want to get any problems with YouTube if I use any bad language or anything. So, you know, he would treat me like that. He would talk to me like that in a very derogative and very demeaning way, as if I was really some kind of, you know, just nothing to him, like not his wife of 17 years. Very nasty, very mean, and if ever, and he was very argumentative, very extremely argumentative, like the slightest thing could set him off. So in the end, I didn't bother bringing things up anymore because I was too scared. And that's the thing, I think what happened in the end, that I lived in fear permanently, and that made me really sick. I lost a lot of weight, especially in the last couple of years. I lost 15 kilos. I mean, which I'm not unhappy about. I mean, what woman wouldn't like to lose weight? I'm not complaining, but it wasn't intended. It was something that I didn't go on a diet or anything. It just happened because of the stress and the constant, you know, fear of living with a person who can, you know, who's like, you know, it's like a volcano with the lava bubbling underneath and ready to explode. But at the slightest things, it wasn't even anything major. Like I said before, one day I just left something on his nightstand and he went off his face. He went like berserk. He went like, you know, crazy, as if I'd committed. It was always like, the reaction was always as if I'd committed the biggest sin on earth, or if I'd committed murder, or, you know, the worst things. That's how he would react to me, you know. And I wasn't appreciated for the kind and compassionate and, you know, generous person that I am, because I'm a very giving, and I like to everyone around me to be happy, and that's very important to me. And I gave so much of that to him, you know, but I couldn't make him happy. He wouldn't even allow me to do that because, you know, he didn't desire me, you know. There was nothing there, nothing. You know, I'm 58 now, and I think I quite like the way I look. I've never had any problems with that, and I don't think I'm someone who is repelling and who's disgusting, and I wash myself, you know. But even if I put perfume on or something, he would say, "Ooh, what's that? Why did you put that on? That is really annoying." And he would, you know, for a nice smell, instead of complimenting me and saying, "Oh, you smell really nice today," or no, or same thing if I put some nice clothes on or something, he would say, "Oh, what do you put that on for? What do you know?" Like it was always to put me down in a way. It was never to build me up. So he had nil desire for me. So I was the one who was always begging for intimacy and for sex, which rarely happened. And then it was like a chore to him. Like he was saying, "Oh, can we get over and done with this very quickly?" And I mean, he wasn't bad in bed, but he was also not very, you know, not very proactive. It was just like he would just lie on his back, and I would basically have to do the rest, go on top of him and stuff like that, because we couldn't even be bothered, you know, getting up from the horizontal position. It was like a big chore to him. He wasn't interested in that. In the beginning, yes, when I first met him, it was all about sex. We were very passionate, and I remember I told him once, you know, I always used to be sexually frustrated with my first husband, because he was an alcoholic, so he wasn't interested in that either. He was just interested in his bottle, and he said to me, "Oh, you know, with me, you're never going to be sexually frustrated. I'm always going to satisfy you. There's no problems." And hey, you know, he hasn't kept his promise. On the contrary, I mean, if it wasn't up to me, we would have never had sex. Maybe even to conceive our daughter, I'm the one who took the initiative for that. And he was very angry when I got pregnant. He wanted me to have an abortion. And I said, no, I don't want to. I want to have that child. You know, I can't have an abortion. This is a person. This is a living being. This is you know, this is a baby, and I couldn't just. I was 43 already, and I had all the tests done to see if my baby was okay. And yeah, and she's perfectly okay. And now it's like the apple of his eye. Basically, that daughter is like. But he's also putting it on a bit because I know he loves her, but he doesn't love her that much. He's just putting it on now with her and said, oh, I really texts her and says, I really love you and I miss you, and let's spend some time together. And, you know, which he never did when we lived together. He wasn't interested in spending time together as a family, the three of us. No, and last year around this time, it was actually January, I wanted to have like a mini holiday, just a quick break. And he was still on leave from work. And I said, let's go to Mandurah and stay the night in a hotel. And he said, oh, what for? That's so stupid. And he wasn't interested. I just wanted to get away to do something different. So in the end, it was just my daughter, who was, you know, just turning just about nearly 15 at the time, and myself. And we had a very nice time. We spent the night in a hotel. We went to a restaurant. We walked on the beach. We, you know, we did, you know, we did the touristy thing, but it was just like one night. And he wouldn't even sacrifice one night to be with us. And that's when something clicked in me. I said, who is this man? You know, why is he even married to me? He doesn't want to spend any time with me. He's not interested. So that's where I'm coming from. But now I have this, I wake up in the morning and all of a sudden I start missing him. Because yes, I never stopped loving him. I didn't leave him because I stopped loving him. I think I've always loved that man, and he did it very well. Just like, you know, they say the narcissists do, they have this pull and push strategy where they pull you in, and you know, that's the love bombing stage at the beginning and all that, when they all lovey-dovey and you know, you know, you basically think, yeah, I've hit the jackpot. I've found my twin soul, and I've found the man of my life, and I've found this beautiful, you know, kind and absolutely fantastic man. And no, that's how they pull you in. And then once we were living together, all that stopped. He was very cold and very dismissive and very arrogant towards me, and all of a sudden he didn't want to know me anymore. But then, okay, that means it's hard to explain, he would just ignore me, not cuddle me, not show me any affection, not acknowledge my presence, not show me that he was happy to see me, like, you know, coming back from work and just like be really, basically ignore me, not even talk to me, you know, give me the cold shoulder all the time. And I'd be very upset because what's happening here? This beautiful, loving, affectionate man is turning into something totally different. Why? Have I done something wrong? Is it me? You know, you start doubting yourself. He said, is it me? Is it, you know, and then I regretted. I said, maybe I rushed into this too quickly, but then I said, oh no, give him time, it will get better. And then that's when the forgiveness comes into place, and you're always forgiving, you know, he does something, then you say, oh, it doesn't matter, you know, just be forgiving. I mean, the Bible tells you should forgive and show the other cheek and all that. And so you become this very forgiving person. But hey, in the meantime, what happens? You become so forgiving that you become like a codependent, because you're actually enabling that person to behave like a jerk, to behave like an asshole. Excuse my language, but that's basically it, you know? So what they do, they push you away by ignoring you, stonewalling you, giving you the cold shoulder, being nasty, and just not being there for you at all. And then sometimes they will, you know, pull you back in and say, oh, you know, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, then he would maybe come and cuddle me from behind and do something, but not very often, you know, very rarely. But then that sticks out. That's the thing that sticks out in my memory. You know, I only remember the good things now. these were sporadic episodes where he would and usually it was when he had a few drinks, because when he had a few drinks, he would either become very nasty or very nice. With him, it was either one or the other. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Yeah, he had two totally different personalities: the nice one and the nasty one. And now that I'm not with him, I tend to remember the nice part, and I forget the nasty part. And this is the problem, you know. I mean, I'm not saying, like I said before, I'm not diagnosing him. I don't know if he's a narcissist. I don't know if he's got a personality disorder, but he's definitely got narcissistic traits. And that's what I want to emphasize, that, you know, this was the type of marriage I was in. I was in a narcissistic relationship with someone who had these traits. And so, yeah, they will do this push and pull. They push you away. Most of the time, that will be 90% of the time, they have this attitude that they don't want to know you, and then all of a sudden, oh, you know, I've really didn't say I miss him. I mean, I think he's never missed me in his life or anything, but all of a sudden they want to, you know, they might give you a hug or you know, but it would be very brief, nothing major, no big thing, nothing like, oh, you know. And he never did anything spontaneous. It was never like, oh, look, let's go for a walk on the beach tonight. You know, it's so beautiful out there. Or just let's go to the movies. I know you love going to the movies, and I really want you to enjoy this, so let's go. But I know he went to the movies on his own once. That's when because at one stage we had a trial separation. That was ages. It was like over 10 years ago. And he went to the movies then. But when he was with me, he couldn't be bothered going to the movies, you know, because I don't know if it was a money thing, because he's so tight with his money, incredibly tight with his money. He didn't want to spend any money at all, you know, like it was all his money was to go into his savings, and he had to save that up for himself. You know, that was for his retirement, or that was his nest egg. And I don't even know the true extent of his assets, or what he's actually got. I don't know. He would not disclose, and I was too scared to ask. If I dared to ask that question, then all hell would have broken loose. It would have been basically a catastrophe. It would have been the end of the world. It would have called me so many names, and called me greedy, and you know, called me a Jew or whatever. You know, he had all these things. Sometimes he called me a Nazi, and sometimes he called me a Jew. So like in the same argument, he could call me, because I'm of German extract. So he would use that against me, and I really didn't like that at all, because I don't want to have anything to do with that movement. You know, what happened to my country of origin is a very painful thing for most Germans to even think about it, and to be called those names, and to be called starting with a H, you know, very, very, very damaging to do that. And it's like he doesn't know history, he doesn't know the facts, and to do that, it was always under the belt, you know. It was always like, if he was arguing with me, he would always tell me the worst things. And you know, and what really what really, really hurt me is when he was using sarcasm and contempt. He would be very sarcastic, and then laughing and rejoicing over my sorrow, my distress, my pain, my agony. You know, sometimes I was agonizing, because it was like mental torture. He would torture me that way. So in the end, I think I became very, how do you say that? Very, just very passive, and very codependent, and an enabler. I enabled him in those behaviors, and I should have really sat down with him and said to him, look, you need to tell me exactly how much money you've got, not because, you know, I want to take it away from you, because we need to know, we never planned anything, you know, I could never talk to him about retirement and what he planned to do. And I thought that was another thing why I left. I really thought he had plans to spend time with me in retirement and enjoy each other's presence. But no, he had no plans of doing any of that. He wanted to continue working for, you know, as long as he could, because that's all he loves. He loves his work and he loves his money. So I honestly thought that once the mortgage was paid off and we were more comfortable, he would probably quit his job and start spending time with me, maybe going around Australia in a caravan or in a van or whatever, you know, I don't know. I mean, the things people do, you know, these grey nomads or whatever, they just go around Australia and just for fun, to have fun, to relax, to see different things. And it's something I'd love to do, not... I don't need a caravan for that, or even a van, or I mean, even if I just had a tent that I could, you know, put up somewhere and then sleep outdoors, and it's, you know, it's beautiful. I've never done anything like that because he wasn't interested, not interested. So, and he would never ever want to make any plans with me. He'd get very defensive, always defensive. And he would just storm off and turn it into an argument, turn it into a big argument, and call me all the names and bring up my past and say, this is why your first husband left you, because you're such a horrible person and you're such a, you know, a stupid cow, and, you know, the names, you know, I was the most horrible, disgusting, you know, person that you can imagine. And he would tell me then that's why my first husband left me, and he would come up with story. I mean, he had his own alternative reality. Honestly, the way he rewrote history, basically, you know, the way things happened. He said that I gave my first husband a big payout when we divorced or something, which is absolute BS, because on the contrary, I think my first husband missed out on you know, he should have had 50% of our family home, which he didn't. He only got, like, you know, very little of it, maybe 15%. And I had, you know, 4 young children at that time, so I was a single mum. So obviously I needed the money. And in those days, it was only, like, you know, how long ago? You know, almost 20 years ago, the laws were more in favor of the woman and the mum, and so they gave you a bigger part of the assets. Now it's more like 50-50. But he said that to me, and it wasn't true. And and many times I tried to explain to him that it wasn't actually true, but oh no, it was true. And that was, so he always rewrote history, and he came up with these his own interpretations of reality, but that was the truth, and you couldn't argue with that. And, like, very, very controlling person, very extremely, how do you say that? Extremely argumentative, and always wanting to confuse me. And one day his ex, which, you know, I knew his ex, we sometimes met up during family gatherings, and she once said to me, you will never understand how his head works. And I'll always remember that, you know, and that's how you would describe him. You can never understand how his head works. His logic is not a logic, it's things that he comes up with, his own arguments. And the thing is, when I used to try and talk to him, let's say I want to sit down, have a discussion, about something that I'm not happy with, or that I would like to improve in our relationship, then no, he would always turn it straight away into an argument, and then wait for, you know, and because he knew my weaknesses, you know, he knew my weak points, and even in the argument, any weak point, he would extract that and then make that his defense and throw it back at you. It's very hard to explain, but he would basically, it was impossible to get through to him, because he's a man who's got his own logic and he lives in his own alternate reality. He lives in another dimension, honestly. So in the end, what you do, it's makes you doubt about yourself, your own sanity, and you think, oh, maybe he is right, or maybe that did happen, or you start doubting yourself, and then you don't bother talking about the subject anymore, because you know it's going to get thrown back at you. And for example, if I told him, look, you're very tight with your money, you should be more generous, he would throw it back at me and tell me that I was money hungry bitch, who only thought about getting his money and taking it. And that's what he thinks about me. He thinks I'm divorcing him because I want to get his money. That's all he thinks. That's all he's thinking. And yes, I want to get what I'm due by law, but I'm not there. I'm not out there to get him and to take his last penny and the shirt off his back and things like that. I'm not vindictive, and he's very vindictive. He's a very vindictive person, and he thinks everyone else is vindictive as well. He's always got an agenda, and he's so calculated and so manipulative that he thinks other people are the same, and he can't comprehend when people just do something out of charity or generosity, or just because it feels good. For example, if I went to the shops and there was a beggar there and I give him $5, he would think that I'm an idiot. Why did I do that? There's no point in it. That person can get a job. It's his own fault if he's in that situation, and if he drinks or he's a drug addict, same thing, it's his own fault. He created that problem, so I shouldn't feel sorry for that person. So yeah, if I said anything to him, he would just throw it back onto me. So there was no way we could ever discuss anything. Very defensive, and start yelling and start using nasty words, swear words as well as swearing, very, very foul language. And I told him several times, can you please not use foul language with me, because it's very disrespectful. I don't like it. I don't like you to call me these names. Could you please not? But he would still do it. Even after all these years, I asked him very nicely, could you please not use these words, because it's really upsetting me, and I don't think there's any need for it. Even if we argue, we can argue as mature and as adults. We don't need to use foul language. No. He had to use foul. He had no control. Once that nasty part of him took over, that was it. That was it. There was no control over what he did or what he said, and the insults would just start flying, and I was the worst person on earth, and I deserved to be I deserved to be trodden on. I deserved to be in the gutter. I was like such a low person. You couldn't get any lower than that. I was just like the most stupid, the most ignorant, the most I was the greedy one, because I wanted things off him, and I was the most the most terrible person, and and when you've got someone who always repeatedly throws these things at you, and you start doubting yourself. And when I first met him, I had a very good self-esteem. I was very confident, and I actually thought that the world was a good place when I met him, and I was very optimistic and very maybe gullible in a way, but I still believe the world is a good place, and I still believe that there are good people out there. But he wasn't a good person. He had good moments, and it's not all, I don't hate him. I will never hate him. Part of me will always love him and always be attracted to him, because he's a very attractive man in a lot of ways. He's got a lot of charm. He's got a nice smile. He's got nice eyes. He's got nice skin. He's not very tall, but it doesn't matter. I'm not very tall either. I'm a bit of a shorty. So he presents very well, especially when he wears a suit. And I just looked at a photo earlier on and I said, oh, that's such an, and I couldn't, you know, I couldn't delete it. You know, I couldn't do it. I will eventually, I think. But yes, part of me is still attracted to him, but I know that I can't go back to him. I can't. It's too late. And the reason why I left him is because he's not a good person, and because I wasn't happy, and because he controlled me, he manipulated me, he lied to me, he never told me the truth about anything, he confused me, he led me down the garden path, basically, you know, a lot of things like because they were never out in the open, they were never spoken about. Like, I'm saying this thing about retirement, that I expected us to be together and do things together, to go out together, maybe to travel together, to go around the country in a van or a car, or you name it, you know, or in a tent, and to do things that people do in their, you know, in their old age, to enjoy themselves. No, he has no intention. He had no intention of doing any of that. But he never told me, so that I always kept my hopes up, because when you leave someone in the dark, it's a good strategy so that person doesn't know what's happening. So I was always hopeful. That's why I was always hopeful, because he never told me anything. So I was hopeful that things were going to have a happy ending. But I was wrong, because I think people need to be very open, very honest, transparent about what they're doing and what their intentions are, and not be secretive. And I don't understand why this man was so secretive about everything, about his finances, about his plans, about what he wanted to do. I had no idea what, you know, and for example, many times I told him I would like us to sell this house. Our family home was very big, and it was too big for us at that stage, because you know, half of our adult kids had left at that stage, and also I could not afford to maintain it properly, and he wouldn't maintain it. He would let it go, you know, he would let it you know, degenerate and fall to pieces, and now it's in a state of disrepair. But a lot of the times I asked him, could we please sell this place and move into something smaller, whether it's a rental? No, he said no, that wasn't an option. So, and I said to him, when are we going to sell this place? And he said, oh, when I'm ready. So, I mean, that can be interpreted. It was always when I decide is the time is right. So, yeah, he always, you know, rejected the accusation that he was controlled, because he was mega controlling, and he had to control everything. Everything had to be according to his agenda, when it pleased him, probably when he could make the most money out of something. And now he hasn't got that control anymore, because I left, and now he has to pay me out a settlement, but he still doesn't want to do that, because, you know, my lawyer sent him an email, a letter, explaining that we want a financial disclosure and that we're going to make a decision upon that. But he hasn't. It's like he hasn't even read it. He is oblivious to everything. It's just what he wants. It's his way or the highway. And he accuses other people of being that way. He said, because when I said to him, what went wrong with your first wife? And he said, oh, it was all what she wanted. It was her way or the highway. And that's BS, because that's him. It's him. He's the one who's like that. It's his will or nothing. There's no compromising. There's no negotiating. It's what he wants and what suits him the best. He doesn't have, you know, your well-being or your happiness or what you're going through in mind. No, that doesn't. That's not his problem. That's not his business. That's your business. And yes, so I don't know what he expected out of a marriage, but I think his expectations were just to have someone there to say, yeah, she's my wife, and this is my wife, this is my daughter, they live with me, and so when I get home, I'm not on my own. There's someone there, like like some types of servants or slaves or a piece of furniture, not someone real, not someone who's got feelings and who's got expectations. And I wasn't allowed to have expectations. No, I couldn't. If I had expectations, I was selfish, unreasonable, and crazy. It was always like I was always crazy. And apparently that's what I found out from one of my stepdaughters. He always said to his first wife as well that she was crazy, If she dared to, to question him or to speak up, or she was put in her place and she was told that she was crazy. Or if she complained, the same with me, if I complained about anything, I'm crazy because I have no idea what's going on, and I'm the one who's ungrateful because I don't appreciate what this man is doing for me. But what is he doing? He's doing nothing. And he always used to say to me, you do nothing for me, you do nothing for me, you're nothing, because that's what he wanted to feel like. He wanted to feel like no one does anything for me. I'm the one who does everything for everyone. So I don't owe anyone anything. They owe me. And my wife, she does nothing for me. She just basically, she's like a parasite. She's like a, she's like a noose around my, my neck, I always felt like I was a burden to him, like like a bullet, like a prisoner, when they have this chain and bullet, and, he was dragging me along, and I could really imagine him being very happy without me, and, but he's not happy now either. He's very shocked and he's very angry, extremely angry, because when I tried to explain, that's when we were still talking, or at least texting, I tried to explain to him why I left him and why I moved out. And instead of saying, oh, I'm really sorry that you felt that way, I had no idea, maybe we can talk about it, and maybe, let's try and make it better. Let's come back and, we'll address all these issues. We'll make it better for you. We'll work at it. There's always a solution. No, he got angry. He got mad at me. And he started being, treating me with contempt, hatred, sarcasm, and very vindictive. Like now he has to have his revenge because I left him because I wasn't happy. So I need to suffer for that, and he's going to make me suffer. And I think that's what his intentions are now. He wants to make me suffer because I dared to escape his control and to leave him. And that's what it is. I have to, he always has this thing that, people are vindictive towards him, but it's not true. I don't want to take revenge. I just want to have what is mine, what I'm due, and that's it, finished. And then I'm very happy for him to move on, even to meet someone else, to have, I don't care. As long as he's happy, that's fine. But I don't want to share my life with that person anymore. But he's going to make it very hard for me, I have the feeling. Instead of making it easy and making it also, everything is going to run smoothly, he's going to delay things and he's going to make it very, very difficult. I've got that feeling. But hey, it will, in the end, things, things will get settled in the end, because nothing lasts forever. And hey, so that's enough for me rambling right now. I just wanted to, to say something in conclusion, and I think I'm still right now in that state of, it's like a brain fog and this confusion. And apparently when you come out of a toxic relationship, a relationship where you had some trauma bonding, you were bonded to that person because of the trauma, because of fear and abuse, and emotional, emotional abuse, and you've been put down, you've been manipulated, you've been, you basically, your soul has been destroyed, but you are bonded to that person because of these, what I was talking before, these brief instants when they were nice to you, and when they were, maybe they bought you a meal, or they did something like, something that, that was nice. It didn't happen very often. It didn't even happen every day, but it did happen, and you sort of like, that sticks in your mind, and you're bonded to that person, because at that time, this is how you would want the relationship to be. You would want the relationship to be loving, caring, giving and take, like both giving to each other, caring about each other, spending quality time, being nice to each other. And it makes me very sad when I say that, because it seems so simple, and it is simple in reality, but it's just not going to happen, because these types of people, the narcissists or whatever you want to call them, they can't live like that. They can't get up in the morning and say, oh, it's a beautiful day today, we're going to enjoy ourselves, and we're going to really make the most. No, they said, what can I do to to cause pain and to cause that person to suffer? And it's close to Christmas now, which is a difficult time as well, because all the emotions tend to come up during Christmas time, and I'm not really a Christmas person. I respect it for the religious aspect of it, the birth of Jesus, because I am a Christian at heart, but I don't like all the other aspects of it, the traditional stuff, and the big meals, and big family gatherings and all. I don't like all that, because so many emotions come up. And last year I did my best. At Christmas we just had some family over, and I said to him, invite your brother. And because I know his brother he's quite old and lonely, he's divorced as well, I said, and he can spend Christmas with us, because I'm always thinking about the person who's worse off, the person who's lonely, the person who does need a bit of love and caring. So he invited his brother, and I made it really nice I had some really lovely food, drinks, conversation, and at the end of the day, instead of saying to me, oh, you were really wonderful, Izzy, and thank you for giving so much of yourself, and for making this day a beautiful one, and also for inviting my brother, because that's a very caring thing. No, he had to go at me. He yelled at me. Do you know why? Because it was hot and I didn't put the air conditioner on, and I was just devastated. I was just crying. I ran out, and I went to, I went out, I drove in my car, and I went to the chemist, and I got some, some cough syrup or whatever, and I drank the whole bottle, and and he just had to go at me, because he couldn't say something nice to me, and he couldn't make it a nice, it had been a very nice day, and he had to. And he had to destroy me for that, for being kind and caring and wanting everyone to be happy. And so, I did in his eyes, I did a very bad job, and I was a horrible person. I was always a horrible person. And I've got to remember that. That's why I'm here. I'm not here because he's a good person. I'm here because he's not a good person, and because he nearly destroyed me, and I'm probably lucky to be alive today. But I will talk more about it, and I'm gonna finish this this video now. It was more of a ramble and more of getting things off my chest. So thank you for watching or listening, and I will be back soon. I will talk about something more interesting next time, but I still need to get a lot of things off my chest. So I really apologize if I go on and on about the same stuff, but at this stage I really still need to do this. And one day I will make videos, and I won't even talk about my ex. I will just talk about myself and my magnificent life, my friends, my children, the places I'm visiting. That's what I want it to be eventually. I want it to be something very positive and very uplifting. Anyway, thanks for being with me, and I hope you have a lovely day today. And don't forget to take your medication if you have to take any medication prescribed by the doctor, and also take some vitamins, eat some vegetables, eat some fruit, and drink some water. Yeah, try to be healthy if you can. Okay. See you next time. I love you all. Bye.